Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another great but from the Bible, another wonderful but God. And this one is from Psalm 49. Psalm 49 begins, "Listen, everyone, this is a message for everyone, for the whole world, rich and poor, clever and stupid, whoever you are." And he asks the question, why should I fear and worry when things are difficult? And why should I be over-impressed when other people get rich and seem to do fine? Because I only have to look around me and see that everyone dies. The rich die, the poor die, the wise and the foolish and senseless alike, he says. They all die, they leave their wealth to others. People, despite their wealth, do not endure. Like the beasts of the earth, they perish. And he goes on, their bodies will decay in the grave. It's a pretty gloomy message. It is for everyone, he says. It is a message for our time, isn't it? COVID-19 has been a time of death, and of course, even more than that, perhaps, of the fear of death. And in some ways, it has been a great leveller. Now, it's true, and it's shamefully true, that the poor have been hit more than the rich. But nevertheless, rich people have died from COVID. An extraordinary thing is there have been old, frail people who've caught it and hardly had a symptom. There have been young, fit, able people who've caught it and heartbreakingly have died. There seems to be little rhyme or reason about it. That is, in a sense, the message of this psalm. However rich you are, however poor, however wise, however foolish, it will get you. So he says, don't be over-impressed when people are rich, because, of course, they do flatter you when you're rich. We know that. They will join those who have gone before them, who will never again see the light of life. Like the animals, he says, we are ultimately all the same. And that's how the psalm ends. It's a very honest and realistic, but a very gloomy picture. And there is just that feeling, if only there were a way out, if there was some answer to this. In fact, he expresses this quite early on in the psalm, verse 7. No one can redeem the life of another or give to God a ransom for him. The ransom for a life is costly. And then these words, no payment is ever enough that someone should live on forever and not see decay. Do you hear what he's saying? You can't buy your way out of death. You cannot pay either, nor can you pay for another. A couple of years ago, I read an incredibly moving letter from an Australian pastor who I'd met. I didn't know him, but I had met him, about his grandson who became ill with cancer and died when he was just 16 years old. And this lad left an amazing testimony on YouTube. It was beautiful and heartbreaking to listen to. But in this letter, Phil, the grandfather, said, I asked God, would he take me instead of him? And then he went on, but of course, I couldn't die instead of him because someone had already done that. Someone has redeemed us from the grave. And that is the faith of this psalm. No one can pay, no payment's enough, he says. And then verse 15, here it is. But God will redeem me from the realm of the dead. He will surely take me to himself. Isn't that an awesome statement? This is another great mountaintop, I think, of the Old Testament. But God will redeem me from the grave. And what I particularly love about those words, and what humbles and awes me, is that this man didn't know how. This is before Jesus. How would God do it? Imagine asking this man, wonderful faith, God will redeem you. How do you know? How will he do it? And I guess he might say, I don't know, but he will. That is my conviction, he will. We, of course, do know how he will. It is through Jesus, isn't it? The one who was raised. In fact, Paul puts it this way wonderfully in Romans chapter 8. He says, if the spirit of him who raised Jesus from the dead is living in you, then he who raised Christ from the dead will also give life to your mortal bodies because of his spirit who lives in you. Because of Jesus, what God has done for him, he will do for all who belong to him. And so we can say, with so much more knowledge, join the psalmist, because of that great event that has happened, we can say, but God will redeem my life from the realm of the dead. Yes, all will die, but in Christ all will be raised again. And it's all down to, but God.